So I'm really glad to see a sequel to Gift of the Mod Pie. I'm mainly happy that the writers didn't blow off Rarity obtaining her third boutique. I'm just a real stickler for continuity within TV shows and movies. But what I really liked about the episode was how the plot was set up through a flashback with commentary from every different main character of the episode. Now, I didn't know what to expect from this episode, and I was sort of worried about it since the last time Rarity opened a new boutique, the episode wasn't that good. But instead, what we got was a hilarious episode that actually made opening a Rarity boutique fun instead of boring and somewhat depressing. I haven't had this much fun with an episode since probably Make New Friends But Keep Discord from Season 5. Up until this point, Gift of the Mod Pie was the funniest episode of Season 6. While the humor in that episode was great, the humor in the Saddle Row review was practically on steroids. And to kick things off with the commentary from everyone, we get a ponified version of J. Jonah Jameson. Thank you, writers. But that's just the beginning for the pleasantries for the Saddle Row review. I know I said this previously in my No Second Prances review about Rainbow Dash, but Rarity's could easily become a meme for not only future movies coming out, but even future episodes of MLP. Fluttershy darting behind a clothes rack to hide from Rarity reading the newspaper was not only funny, but still really adorable for her, especially how she poked her head out in fear. I loved how as the different characters begin their interview, the responses gradually sink down from Rarity saying she was nothing but confident to Rainbow Dash saying it's okay to mess up now and then after a lifetime of awesomeness, and eventually ending with Fluttershy saying it didn't start out too well while sounding completely unconfident. Every response didn't drag on whatsoever, the regression of positivity was well done for such a short scene, and Applejack's response was my favorite.
It was a plum-puckered, pig-pushing disaster.
But once the characters enter the empty space for Rarity's new store, the episode jumpstarts on the comedy. The instant Pinky sneezes dust on all her friends, nearly every single scene had something to laugh about or enjoy. Normally I don't get too much of a laugh out of Twilight, I usually relate to her a lot, but the scenes where she begins to sweep along to the beat of DJ Pone 3's music, begging Rarity to organize the clothing shipment as if her life depended on it, and then acting giddy at the thought of restarting the organizing really brought a few good laughs out of me. The scenes just perfectly described her character in a comedic way, though these scenes still don't beat her reaction to Discord mocking her flying skills back in Season 5. As for Fluttershy, not only was she her usual adorable self, but she did in fact have a few funny scenes as well. Her best one had to be when she's talking to the reporter about the raccoons in Rarity's stockroom, and then all of a sudden, the raccoons just appear out of nowhere, sitting next to Fluttershy in the cafe. It was just so random. Like later on when she asks the raccoons to leave, they start terrorizing her throughout the store. Fluttershy asking the reporter to skip the part where Rarity was locked in the window display was yet another adorable scene for her. Okay, what can I really say about Pinkie Pie? She had the best scenes in the episode, hands down. Sneezing all the dust on her friends and her different attitude about the dance club above Rarity's store were great.
Turns out there's a Club Pony party palace upstairs. Turns out there's a Club Pony party palace upstairs!
The two best jokes had to be when she referenced the episode where she cloned herself, and then we see another Pinkie Pie sitting behind her at the cafe in a hat. And the scene where she sees the Devil and Angel Rarity in the dance club, especially Devil Rarity's response to Pinkie's question.
Keep that party going till the break of dawn! Really? Indubitably! And as for the roof, get jiggy! Raise it, Pinkie! Raise it like you've never raised it before! If you say so! Oh, please, Pinkie Pie. Never in a million years would I say such balderdash.
Speaking of Rarity, she had a few funny scenes too. Her getting locked into the window display room, her stressing out scene, and when she's clambered on top of the barrel to escape the raccoons are great. I loved Rainbow and Applejack appearing together in the booth in the cafe in front of the reporter, trying to play off that Twilight sweep beat was lame, only for the scene to cut back to them copying what Twilight was doing. Oh, and guess what? Rainbow mimicking Rarity here was actually funny, unlike another certain episode. Here, she was just doing it to playfully mock Rarity, not trying to legitimately act like her in a contrived way. The scenes where everyone else is trying to figure out how Rarity would want things to get done were a little meh, but there was nothing terrible about them. Twilight getting giddy about restarting her organizing and then the raccoons terrorizing Fluttershy definitely kept the comedy levels up. Now, as for the other characters, obviously I loved the J. Jonah Jameson pony, but I thought it was great for Coco Pamel to have a quick cameo, even if she was sick as a dog. And I thought it was genuinely sweet that Rarity was giving her the job as head manager of the store. Now with Mr. Stripes, I honestly thought he was a jerk. I'm not a big fan of extortion really, but thankfully he wasn't overdone in that department. His daughter though, I can see what the writers were going for her character, but I found her to be a little annoying. She wasn't too annoying or cringing, but she still managed to make me chuckle at least once. There really isn't much else to say about the Saddle Row review. From start to finish, there was always something to laugh at. At least 95% of the jokes were hits, all the main 6 characters were funny and charming, the newer characters were at least somewhat okay, but nothing too memorable or too awful, and all the cutaways back to the cafe were fantastic, especially Coco's even if it was just her blowing her nose next to a mountain of used tissues. Yeah, there wasn't too much of a message in this episode, just do things you were asked the way you think they should be done, but again, the comedy that filled this episode was more than enough to make up for that. This episode, without a shred of a doubt, is a green flag episode, and it makes it into my top 3 of season 6 so far. If I ever want a good laugh, or if I'm having a not so good day, I'll definitely turn this episode on just to laugh for 21 minutes. Every now and then, it's good to have just a straight up comedy episode, and this one delivered on spot. However, did you like the episode? I'm Mr. Left Turn. I'll see you when I get back from the track.